Suprava, great to see you as always, and thanks for making a bit of time to come and have a chat. Appreciate that. So, just to kick off the conversation, take us back to the moment when you thought Acquisition X, your business, could become a global player. Just tell us about that moment, that insight.
Right. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Now, coming back to your question on how, I got started with Acquisition X and how we basically made it global. First thing, like before starting Acquisition X, I used to be a freelancer. It was like a normal, regular thing you could say. And I was just starting to create content on LinkedIn. And what I realized is I was getting a lot of leads from all over the world. And since I had the power of internet, AI, and everything, I thought like why just rely on India or any other country? Why not make it global? So yeah, that was the first clue. When I was thinking to just get started with my agency, because I had somewhere around, I guess, 6, 7 clients, and we were about 3 people who used to, handle the team, handle the clients and everything. So I was thinking like, let's just turn it into an agency and let's see like where that goes. So yeah, that was the
Um,
first move when I
and
got.
how, once you decided that you could
Yeah.
turn it into a global business, how did you go about that? It's one thing to say, I think this could be global. It's another thing to actually make it happen because you're in lots of different places now, aren't you? Tell us about the process, the approach that you took, the way you went about, building it up in that way.
Right. Um, um, when it comes to the process, it's not nothing very crazy, because since you would see like our business is mostly online, right? It's all about serving clients and helping them with their solutions.
Mhm.
And yeah, so we started getting a lot of leads from all over the world. And that's when I thought, okay, let's just, start helping people. It doesn't matter from where they are. So yeah, that was the main clue.
And are your staff based locally or are they spread all over the world? How does the kind of team bit work?
Right. So we have a few team members here in India that are, in different states, and we have few team members that are in US as well. So you can say US and India, like both of the countries that we have most our team members in.
Okay. One of the interesting challenges about building a global business is that, if you've got a small team, but you're working in lots of different jurisdictions,
Right.
you need a team that performs really well all the time because you've got to get it right a lot in lots of different. How did you go about building if you like, a high performing team? Just talk us through your thinking on that.
Right. Now, when it comes to building the team, it takes a lot, I would say. Like when we were starting out, we made a lot of mistakes. We
Yeah.
thought we will just, I think we will increase the package or we'll just pay them more, and, that will get us better team members. But that's not really the truth. You need to think, look for people who are young, who are, actively looking to pursue things that are new and have the same goal or like the same mindset as you, because let's be honest, since we are very small, we have about only 12 team members, and a lot of our clients rely on few of our most of our team members. So we need to keep everything on track, and in order to do that, we make sure that we hire people that have the same mindset as us.
Okay. And in terms of that mindset, just give us a sense of what you're looking for. Are you looking really for technical specialists or people that are, good at things? Just give us a sense of what you look for, because it's one thing to say the right mindset. It's another thing to actually make that tangible. Give us a sense of what that looks like.
Right. Now, when it comes to the right mindset, it's not just technical. It's all about, let's take, for example, if we have a client meeting around 10 p.m. at the night, because since we work mostly in that, with US clients and, people that are not in our time zone, will they be available? Right? Will they be able to sacrifice their personal time in order to work with us? So yeah, these are like few things that we work for and we look for when we are hiring for team members, right? Because I know a lot of people will say like, you should hire team members, they should have their own personal time and all these things, which we totally agree with. But
Mm,
at the same time, we also, look for players who are, actively pursuing things, right? Who have this curious mind. So yeah, it's not just technical or creative. It's all about how much committed they are
mm,
to doing things, getting things done. And we mostly also look for people who, think of us as their own, like you could say, like a, actually a team, not just a corporate based or like, usual thing. So
mm.
yeah.
So sort of a family orientated culture, a bit like a
Exactly,
family.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Because I'll tell you one thing. I've never had to force my team, or even we actually ask our team members, don't work on weekends, don't work so much, but they'll be working around 2 a.m., they'll be working over the weekend. So we never have to say all these things. They do it because they know that it's their work and they need to finish it and they do it.
Yes.
So, and yeah, I'm really glad to find team members like that.
Yeah. And if you can get really motivated people, I mean, obviously it's easier to make,
Yeah,
isn't it? Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, and let me ask about your motivation. I mean, building a global business, I mean, it's quite a tough gig. I mean, a bit of a roller coaster, there's ups and there's downs and everything in between. I mean, what is it that motivates you? I mean, what is it that kind of gets you out of bed every morning to ride that roller coaster? I mean, you give us a sense of your motivation and why it's important to you.
Right. I'll be very honest with you. Now, when it comes to my motivation, it's nothing motivation because if I just rely on motivation, I feel I won't be able to, build a business because motivation is what? Like, you watch a few things, you get inspired and you do it, right? But with us, we just, work on it because we take it as like our work is to serve our clients. Our work is to help people with, build better solutions when it comes to lead generation, when it comes to automation and stuff like that. So yeah, I, like I wouldn't say that I just rely on motivation, but yeah, this
But
is
you're,
one
but
thing.
you're very ambitious, aren't you? I mean, we've talked about this before. I mean, you're very ambitious, so you must be motivated to an extent.
Right. Like I'll tell you, the first thing that that hits my mind is, helping people. And whenever, someone comes to me and someone tells me like, you're doing great work. And whenever our client tells us like they've been able to hit this amount of revenue because of us. So yeah, that I don't know if this will act as a motivation or not, but this definitely helps. And, it just makes me feel really, really good.
Sure, sure.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
no, and I can understand that. I mean, there is a real, you get a real kick from doing good things. I mean, I totally understand that. I mean, just talk to us about new markets. I know you do a lot of stuff in the US or what have you, but tell us about the different jurisdictions that you're in and one of the issues that I think is interesting is if you're in lots of jurisdictions, lots of different parts of the world, lots of different countries. I mean, it's a challenge keeping track of customer expectations, which are changing. I mean, give us your take on how how do you do that? Because that's quite a difficult
Right.
task.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Different location have different kind of mindset and, they have different kind of expectations. Now, how we filter it out is based on industries, okay, and based on their goals. So we first onboard our clients and we sit with them. We figure out what exactly they're looking for, and we create the plans based on that. And,
Mm,
then we act on it. So yeah, like we have a form, you could say, that helps us to see which customer from what industry or what country have what kind of expectation. And yeah, that's how we
sure.
do it. We also create like a quarterly pie chart where we have our entire team on board, and we see, okay, so this industry mostly is having this kind of what do you call it, like specializations and this kind of requirements. Then this kind of country has these kind of limitations. Or if you think about it, since we are into lead generation, right? The what do you call it, yeah, sending cold emails and all these
Mm.
things requires a lot of have like a lot of issues these days. So yeah, keeping that in mind, we figure out.
Yeah. And I mean, doing business in America, very different from doing business in India, very different from doing business in China, for example.
Yeah.
Tell me what's your thoughts on the kind of the handling the kind of cultural stuff? You're doing the same thing in different countries, but culturally it's very different, isn't it? People respond in different ways. How do you handle that?
Right. Now, when it comes to the culture, we mostly, try to keep both of the countries, like whatever countries we are operating in, we try to keep all those guidelines and, whatever culture they have in mind. Let's take, for example, if they have any sort of festival coming. So we have a calendar that have all those things set up or
Right.
pre-made.
Okay.
Yeah. So, it's not like, we're just operating here in India so that we'll just follow our culture. So, yeah, like we also send our clients Christmas cards, Christmas gifts. So, yeah, so that way everything stays in touch.
Yeah. And if you were to go into a new area. Let's say, I don't know, you decide that you're going to go and do a lot of work in Germany, for example. It's just an example.
Right.
Do you sort of proactively sort of develop a market entry strategy or market access strategy? How would you approach a new jurisdiction, a new country, a new part of the world? Just give us a sense of how we do that, or do you just respond to incoming kind of client queries? How do you manage those sorts of things?
Right. Now, when it comes to Germany or any country that is not English speaking, first thing I'll have to keep in check is the language, right? I'll have
Okay.
to probably learn, or I'll have to ask my team to learn. So that is going to be a little difficult if, they are not an English speaking country. Now, we do have two clients who are from Germany, but hopefully, they're into B2B and they understand English, they speak English.
Okay.
But at the same time, their website is in what do you call it, like German. Then yeah, so it becomes a little difficult, I would say. But if I had to develop a business there, or if I had to take an approach, I would probably first learn, or at least try to understand Germany, because even if AI is there and a lot of other things are there, you will have to somehow make the base strong, and the base is of course the language, right? So once that is done, then maybe start create content based on that area, or maybe start running ads that can focus on the pain point of that specific area. So yeah, that's how I would go about it.
And
But
do you do a lot of, if you were to go into a new jurisdiction, do you do a lot of market research? Do you do it in that sort of formal way? What's your
yeah.
method?
Right. Now, when it comes to the market research, it totally depends, like, what kind of segment we are going in and what kind of area we are going to take action on. Right. Now, let's take, for example, if you are doing something on the AI, right? Since AI is trending right now
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so many things are coming new these days, right? So what we do is we create these agents that act like intent signals for us. So let's take, for example, every time a new AI publication is published, or any article or anything that is coming on, so that AI will basically get traction from there, and it will send us, right? Then one of our team member will sit and they'll go through entire thing on how everything is going on, what are the new things that are coming up, what are the
Okay.
solutions, what kind of people that are going to use those things, and based on that we create the PPT, and we present it, and then we create content on it, basically make small distributions of that entire thing. So this is like an ongoing process. This is something that we do right now. So yeah, this is how we take our approach when it comes to market research.
Okay. And the other interesting thing about being in lots of different countries, lots of different jurisdictions, is that, of course, that adds quite a lot of uncertainty, because different countries work in different ways, which in turn adds quite a lot more risk, doesn't it? The more countries you're in, the more opportunities there is for things to go
Right.
horribly wrong. What's your take on dealing with uncertainty and the kind of heightened levels of risk? And as the CEO, how do you kind of keep track of all that sort of stuff?
Right. Now, when it comes to the risk, I feel it's also the same if you work in your own country. But at the same time, when it comes to, outside or, other countries, it totally depends, what kind of risk is there. So for an example, let's take it something on, legality or, any legal issue, because recently we got a similar issue like that. So to tackle that, what we did is first, we got our lawyer on board, and they took care of those, but that particular thing. So yeah, this is something, totally depends on what kind of issue is there, and based on that, we take care of it.
Okay, so it's really what you're saying is that you monitor it and act accordingly. Yeah, I mean, I get that. It's just more of it, isn't there? Because I mean, there's so many different countries. There's just more risk. And just to come back to the point we started at about, you being the CEO. I mean, how do you see your role as the CEO? I mean, the conventional wisdom is the CEO works out what are the things that only they can do, and or only that they can, that they do best,
Right.
and then delegate everything else. But if you've
Right.
only got a small team, it doesn't really work that way, does it? So, I mean, how do you manage that role?
Right, right. Yeah, love that question, because I feel in order to run a company, you, even if you're delegating everything, but you still need to understand a little bit of, everything, whatever goes on around the
Yeah,
company,
yeah, yeah.
right? So that you understand if everything is going well or not. Now, when it comes to the delegation part, in our company, what we do is we have hired like two managers, because what we realize is handling managers is much more easier than handling multiple team members at once. So
Yeah.
we just, yeah, so we just ask the manager, like, so these are the work. So I have a co-founder, right? So she basically takes care of these parts. So she handles, like reaches out to the manager and handles whatever the work there is. Then we have like weekly calls to see everything is going well or not, if people are having any issues or stuff like that. Apart from this, the manager, what they do is they take like daily calls. So the daily calls could be around either end of day, or it could be like starting of the day. So yeah, these are like few must do's that we do when it comes to the delegation part.
Yeah. And in terms of the tasks that only you can do as the CEO, I mean, what would you say those sorts of things are?
Right. Right. So I would say being a CEO or a founder, the most important task is sales. You should know how to sell, right? I don't think anything else is as important as sales when it comes to running a business. So yeah, like for me, I'm involved in sales, and that's my work. My co-founder, she takes care of the team, the client deliverables, the
Operational stuff.
operational stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And what about, I mean, managing other stakeholders? I mean, you must deal with lots of different organizations and partners and clients. I mean, what about your role in kind of managing sort of the wider stakeholder network? I mean, how do you see that?
Right. When it comes to managing our clients, our partners, and stuff like that, so my work is basically that, revolves around the acquisition part. So I get on the calls, I understand whatever the requirement is, whatever the agenda is. Once that is done, if they say yes, then I get it connected to my co-founder. Then she takes care of, onboarding them. Then we basically take it from there, like.
And what about if things go wrong? I mean, my experience of business is that it never goes right. I mean, mostly it goes
Yeah.
right, but there's always stuff going wrong. I mean, what about your experience of when things go wrong and how your thoughts on that issue?
Right. So let's take, for example, if someone is coming to us, but they don't, convert as a client or as a partner, right? So what we do is, even though they don't convert, we still send them like a, some goodie, or like a some freebie or something, just out of say, sake of it. And what we have realized is, as soon as we do that, they convert. So this is one tip I would say, if anyone is struggling with, because I think this is one of the most common issue. Like people will come to you, they'll be like, oh, okay, everything is fine. And whenever it comes to the invoice part, they'll just ghost you, or, they'll go away. So yeah, this is one of the common issue that I've seen, and this is how we tackle it. Now, apart from all this, when it comes to the issues, we try to tackle if possible. But if we feel like if whatever we do is nothing is happening, we just let it go. Like if it has to happen, it'll just happen. So yeah, this is also one approach that we follow.
And what about things like, keeping track of performance and so on? I mean, when you've got a small team and you're doing lots and lots of stuff, I mean, it's really
Right.
important they perform at a high level. I mean, how do you keep on top of on those, on those sorts of issues? I mean, I've always felt that that's really hard work.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, when it comes to the performance, what we do is we ask the team members to fill like a EOD kind of thing
Mhm.
where they need to mention like whatever work they have done, and on weekly basis we ask them to track the KPIs, the performance, what are the like results we got. So we have like different team members for different type of segments. So let's take for example for the sales team, right? So their work is to get us more bookings, more sales calls. So yeah, we track them using a few CRMs like Folk. Then we then let's take for example if someone is not being able to perform correctly, then we
Mhm.
get them on a call. We try to understand if they're going through something. And yeah, that's something we go about it on a usual basis. And something that is working really really great for us at the moment is making the team member feel like they're the one in charge. Like what we have realized, like if we give them something, if some let's take for example if we have two team members, right? We did this one experiment. So one person we gave them, so these are the list, these are like we need 30 sales calls, we need this, we need that. Okay, another team member we gave them, okay, so this is what we are trying to achieve. You figure out how many calls would actually hit that mark, how many things would actually work in order to do this end goal, right? And we noticed that the team member whom we gave them the entire power for them to make the decision, for them to, do everything, they hit the mark, right? They were able to get us anything, whatever we wanted. So yeah, this is one strategy we follow. Like instead of giving them the KPIs, we just tell them like, you figure out what would work the best and you show us like the data. And yeah, that's something that's
So what you're saying is that you focus on the outcomes that you want to achieve rather than micromanaging people's.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, and I think there's quite a lot of research that shows that's the most effective way to do that, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah, it's interesting that you've tested that. And what about? I mean, what about managing clients? I mean, again, a lot of that has to be done remotely, doesn't it? Using Zoom
Yeah.
or whatever. I mean, what are your thoughts on keeping track of, all the, I know you've got lots of clients that are all over the place. I mean, I think that's, probably quite hard work. I mean, what's your take on managing multiple kind of clients in multiple locations?
Right. That's actually a great question. Now, when it comes to managing the clients, so we have, so let's take, for example, if we have like clients from US, then EU, right? So they will, of course, operate on different time zones.
Yeah.
So for them, first, what we do is whenever we get on the onboarding call, we ask them like, these are the time zones that we mostly operate on. What are the time zones that you would be operating on based on that we schedule something up. And so yeah, that is one thing that we are doing right now, and it's actually helping us a lot because earlier we just used to onboard client and we didn't ask really the question if
Okay.
they'll be interested or stuff like that. So yeah, and
Let me just ask about that. I mean, those negotiations with clients can sometimes be quite tricky, can't they? I mean, you know,
yeah.
do you feel that that is a really important skill for the CEO to do, or do you leave it to your staff? I mean, that process of negotiating with clients. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Right. Negotiation is something, you'll have to learn some way or the other
Mm.
way. Like earlier, I used to be really, really bad. Like if someone would come and ask me like this is exactly how much I can pay, I was like, okay, fine, let's just do it. Okay, then we'll see. But what I realized is, you'll have to learn. So yeah, negotiation is very, very, very important. Like you'll
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah. And how did you, I mean, how did you acquire that? Simply through practice, or, I mean, 'cause
Yeah.
it's a skill that requires a bit of nurturing, I think.
So I'll tell you what I did when I think I was in the growth stage at that moment. So we onboarded like 2, 3 clients who were like sales coaches, right? And we offered them entire service for free. And in order to do that, we just asked them if they can just, give maybe 1 hour weekly from their time routine. And they did. And yeah, that's one of the things that, helped us a lot. So yeah, it was like a win-win situation.
Yeah. Okay. And I mean, the journey that you've been on, I mean, tell us a bit about the journey. I mean, you started out, you decided that it could go global. I mean, you've succeeded in doing that. I mean, well done on that. I mean, tell us about the journey. I mean, presumably it was a fairly difficult journey, easy journey. I mean, what's your sort of take on the process that you've been through?
Right. Now, when it comes to the journey, it was not easy at all. Right.
Okay.
I'll tell you one thing, like when you're starting out and you are not from the country that you're targeting,
Yeah.
it becomes difficult, right? Because people have a lot of trust issues. People, don't really know if you'll do right or not. And the worst part is then they're not going to pay you in the advance, right? So what we did to tackle this issue is we started creating our personal brand, because what we realized is in the end, personal brand, like if you have some sort of brand on, any kind of platform,
Mm.
people can just see that, and that trust factors, they just automatically, I feel, they gets it. Because I've realized it when I was freelancing, I didn't had any personal brand. The attitude of people on the sales call used to be different, but now when they see like we have some sort of brand, and people know about us via someone or something like that, they have something else. So yeah, this is one of the thing, like building a personal brand actually helped us a lot. Apart from this, our struggles, I would say, like it was not like a lot, but yeah, this was one of the major issue, like the trust factor.
Sure. And how did you, I mean, when you describe that, I can absolutely see that when you're trying to build a brand in
Yeah.
different countries, you're in India, you've got clients in America. I mean, how do you go about building up that level of trust? I mean, how do you do that? Because I mean, it's interesting that you say that. I mean, I think that's a really important factor, but it's very easy to say build up trust. I mean, but it's much more difficult to do, isn't it? I mean, how do you do that?
Right. That's actually a great question. Now, when it comes to the building trust, it's all about results, right? Now, if we have gotten the same amount of result with, for any of other clients. So, what we do basically is, if you see most of the people, what they do is on sales calls is they'll go in the sales call, they'll, scroll through some PPT, and it just becomes very repetitive, right? Now with us, what we do is we first understand what they're going through, and then we directly share our screen and we show them our active client results data, because that is one of the reason we have seen, people are like, okay, I'm being able to see the active campaign results, how many replies you are getting, how many, leads you guys are getting for your clients. And that is one of the main thing, that is helping us right now to convert. So yeah, it's all about trust and result.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that actually. That people, I mean, people are very concerned about results, aren't they? I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
other stuff matters, but at the end of the day, the results are what drive the
Mm.
financials, aren't they?
Mm.
Yeah. And when you look back on that journey, um, I mean, give us a sense of what you've learned from that experience. I mean, sounds like quite an exciting, journey
Right.
you've been on. I mean, give us a sense of what you've learned from that when you look back over the last few years.
Right. I did learn like a lot of things, I would say. But one of the major thing is when I was starting out, I used to just take any client. Okay. Like when I was a freelancer, I used to just take any client that came to me or I got through referral. I didn't know. But what I realized is you cannot really be in this industry and serve to everyone, right?
Okay.
You can't be a player for everyone.
So,
So
so
yeah.
let me ask you, how do you work out which clients to take and which clients not to take? I mean, how do you do that?
Right. So when it comes to which clients are working out the best is, by again by data. Since we have worked with a lot of clients from different industries, from different backgrounds, we figured out like there are certain clients that are like certain industries that are just working out the
Right.
best for us. And also it's all about having knowledge. Like if like let's take for example my team members, right? They have deep knowledge when it comes to certain industry, so it just becomes very easy for us to work in that industry, and we won't have to learn so much, we won't have to A/B test so
Mhm.
much. So it's all about having how much knowledge you have, and how much data and how much result you're being able to get
Mm.
to your specific client, and based on that you select, okay, so this is the client or this is the niche that I want to go for next few clients or stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So what you're saying is focus on your strengths and
Yeah.
build up the data around that so that you can stand
Right.
out from the crowd. I mean, totally follow the logic of that. I mean, and sorry, let me just ask you another couple of questions about what you've learned. I mean, have you had any real disasters that you think, oh God, I won't do that again? I mean, you talked about, all the challenges involved. I mean, give us a sense of some of
Right.
the things that have gone wrong, perhaps. Have they changed you as
Right.
a CEO?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I can think like a lot of things. So one of the major thing I would say is when you overpromise, but you cannot deliver the result.
Okay.
Right. So what that happens, especially what I've realized is if you have a brand, that is well known, you need to be very selective when it comes to working with your clients, right? You cannot just work with anyone. You need to make sure that you get them the result, because what happens is one bad mouth and whatever brand you have built is just gone in seconds.
Mm.
So this is also one of the major reason that we try to be as selective as possible, because for us getting client is not a big deal, is getting the result is, right? So yeah, this is one of the major lesson that I've learned so far is don't just work for everyone. Be even if, let's take for example, even if we are not being able to get result for one of our clients, we still try to do something that solves them out. At least they're happy with us, even if the result didn't work, like we couldn't get them result, that's totally fine. But they should whatever it is, we should end on good note. It shouldn't be like something that goes very very far or something bad.
Sure, yeah. And if you were to offer a piece of advice to somebody that was perhaps thinking about doing what you're doing, um, I mean, what would that piece of advice be? If you were starting again, I mean, what would it be?
Right. So, what I've seen here is whenever people start, they have a lot of expectation for the first few months, right? So, what I'll suggest is don't have any expectation for the first year. No expectation. Okay. Just do the work. Create a schedule. Like, this is the schedule that I need to follow. And these are the people that I need to reach out. And I know, like, a lot of people will think reaching out, cold email, these things don't work, but they do work. It
Yeah.
just needs to be you just need to understand like how exactly to make it work. And also, like, I've seen like people have become very shy these days. Like earlier, I think back in your days you must have seen people used to go to doors, they used to knock, they used to get that deal
Mm.
in, right? But these days people are just they just send like automated DM and they expect the client to convert, especially if they don't have any result or any sort of thing. So they need to put a little more effort. They need to see like what used to work back in those days, right? And they need to be that aggressive. So yeah, having no expectation and be aggressive, follow a routine, like do the same work, improve, no expectation, whatever has to happen, just give it.
I mean, it's interesting that you talk about people being shy and not being willing to make cold calls and what have you. I mean, why do you think that's happened? That's a very interesting observation. I mean, why would you say that's happened?
Right. Because of technology, right? The more technology you get, the more comfortable you get. And the more comfortable you get, the less productive, or you can say these kind
Yeah.
of things you get. So, yeah, like, so many AI tools came up, right? That just streamlined the process. Earlier, people used to cold call, they used to, maintain a diary of list. So I've still seen a few people do it, and they're still winning. I'll be very honest with you, they're still winning. But yeah, with the AI tools and stuff like that, it became people just became very comfortable. And yeah, that's I feel one of the main reason.
Yeah. And one last thing. I mean, AI is very
Yeah.
topical at the moment. I mean, just give us a sense of how AI is reshaping your industry. I mean, my guess is it's probably having quite a big impact. I mean, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to AI, like we use AI, to the most when it comes to our business. But at the same time, when it comes to AI, you need to keep in mind, um, like it should just help you streamline the process. It should not, be your entire work. Like I've seen people just send cold emails that are just, AI written, or it could be, that just feels very vague. So I feel if you're using AI, it should still have some sort of human touch. It should, in the end, we are just human. We are reaching out to each other. So yeah, this is one of the
It's
main.
that idea of a human being in the loop working with the AI, isn't it, to move things forward? Is that, and presumably that's having a positive effect.
Correct, correct. So it's all about, how you use the AI, right? I've seen like a lot of people, they're just, using AI, they're cold email in, spam people, right? I think you must be receiving a lot of emails yourself these days.
Yeah,
So, right?
I get
So
far too much spam.
that's what, too much AI is also not very great. It's all about, how you use the AI. It's all about, in the end, I feel how personalized or how how do you like how do I say connected you feel by reading that email, right? It should feel like it should make you feel something, because I feel in the end, be it sales, be it marketing, it should make you feel. I think in the end, I feel this is one of the most important thing.
About having it needs to generate an emotional reaction.
Yeah, generate emotions,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, okay. That's actually a very interesting insight, actually. I mean, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Suprava, thank you for sharing that story. It's really interesting, actually. And I mean, and you've done a brilliant job. And I mean, I know you're very ambitious and you've got lots of other things planned. So, good luck going forward. And I mean, well done on all the things that you've achieved so far. And I hope the next bit of your adventure is as exciting as the last bit has been.
Thank you very much, Paul. That is very sweet. You yourself is doing such a great work, giving platform for people, to share about their business journey. That's actually a very great work. So yeah, a thumbs up to you
Oh,
as well.
thank you for coming on and sharing the story. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye bye.
Bye bye.